So, in your opinion, when companies are trying to scale up to AI-driven workflow, what generally breaks down first?
Something I have been thinking just even today morning. Sometimes with all this AI, we forget the basics. When you release MCPs, when you have people integration, observability becomes so important. So the first thing is like with all the crazy technologies, let's remember that logging becomes more important. Your code needs to have logs. Your code needs to have tracing so that when something goes wrong, you can immediately figure out what is going wrong. Especially think of it like with MCP, we are talking 100 different tools, data moving through 100 different ways, and you don't even predict how it is going. So you need to know how things are happening. And I feel like taking care of those basics is such an important piece of things. Uh, Other things is like things are bound to break up. For me, it's a risk profile of like, hey, do I know what change I am making? If I break, can I revert it? My risk profile at Mongo is very different because especially as we became a bigger company, I can't bring anything down. My current risk profile is more like if it's a Sunday, I'm doing a release, people are not using the platform. If it breaks for 5 minutes and I can revert immediately, that's fine. That's a call everyone has to make. The other part is like, yes, people are moving fast for AI, but also think of where we need to build or what we need to build, right? A lot of people built like, hey, you can ask questions from my database, I will answer as a big feature last year. And now I wouldn't pick it up because there are a lot of toolings out there which you can just hook up to your database and be like, hey, if customer asks certain type of questions, look at the database and answer. So I am scaling fast. I am adding value to users. I'm just not building it myself. Looking for those tools, especially as a startup, as a mid-sized company, goes a long way in having that stability because those tools themselves just do that one thing really well, and hopefully they have that stable platform out there. So at least that's how I think about building, especially as a startup, where I want to add all these AI values to users, and I don't want to break. I also don't have a big engineering team to do each and every piece really well. So how I can think about it is like find the pieces that others do really well and you can just utilize them and find the pieces where you need to build.
Yeah, 100%. Now, you mentioned it earlier. One of the drivers, which I'm seeing as well, it's just big demand for is orchestration and access to content, right? So, how do you bring all this together? For the past 30, 40 years of technology as a humanity, we took a great effort in building walls around content repositories, whatever the content is. You mentioned Oracle earlier. We put a lot of walls around that. And now what we're asking is can I have access to that? And so how do you manage all this? Like there's thousands upon thousands of content repositories out there and none of them talk to each other. And now we're saying, okay, we're going to orchestrate all this data together. My background is data, by the way. But how do you get that? I mean, there must be like hundreds of thousands of APIs out there.
That's where I feel things like MCP and A2A becomes more important because you keep your data, but you just do certain actions on your data and give the reply back to other people so that they can continue with whatever things they do, right? Even in the ERP space, one of the biggest, hardest thing why ERP existed is because you have every company uses 30, 40 different tools to operate on day-to-day basis in e-com industry. And ERP became the heart of the process where you will do specific integration with each of the toolings people use, bring the data together in the ERP and make the data more useful. And there is no standards among integration, right? For if I have 10 companies using 10 different warehouses, then I am doing like 10 different integrations, creating those codes. Imagine everyone has an MCP now. Now, AI allows you to do those integration, write those integrations very easily. The way I think about it is like a lot of systems were connecting data, accessing data, even pre-AI era. The AI era is just bringing the standard for being able to do that faster.